Welcome to another powerful edition of the New Limits Life podcast. I'm your host, Nordine, joined by my co-host, Ken.
Hey, Nordine.
Today's guest is the embodiment of grit, purpose, and transformation from a remote village in Northwestern Kenya, where opportunities were few and poverty was common. He has risen to hold leadership positions in medicine, education, and public health advocacy. This conversation is about defying the odds, honoring those who lift us, and turning hardship into fuel for service. When you walk through doors once thought closed to people like you, don't just walk through, hold them open for those behind you. Our guest is a Rhodes Scholar, a practicing physician, a teacher, and an avid marathon runner, and the current president of the Arizona Osteopathic Medical Association. Please join us in welcoming a man whose journey redefines what's possible, Dr. Lokale. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Always. Let's begin with this quote. When you walk through doors once thought closed to people like you, don't just walk through, hold them open for those behind you. How does that message reflect your life and mission?
I think that quote kind of embodies how I look at my service to my alma mater, my medical school, and just my life, giving back to the community.
Giving back,
so
yes.
For me, I've been able to do that in several ways, by holding leadership positions. I teach medical students. I don't have to teach, but I love to teach. And this is a way that I can give back to the community. I give financially. So I give time, talent, and treasure to all those people that have kind of helped me along the way.
Time, talent, and treasure. It's beautiful. What were those doors? Tell us a little bit about your background and how those doors were closed at one point and you managed to open them.
I grew up very poor. My mother and my father lived in a very remote area in Kenya. They were nomadic pastoralists. When I was 2 months old, my father was killed in a cattle wrestling raid by another tribe. So what these communities in the desert in Kenya, what they would do is they would go to other villages, a different tribe, and they would raid their cows. They would take their cows, their goats, whatever the livestock that they had. In one of these instances, my dad was 32 years old.
Wow.
And, he was just guarding the village, and someone shot him and he was killed.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it used to be like spears or arrows.
Yeah.
But as the time went in the late 70s, now you had the AK-47s coming in, all the G3 guns and things like that. So he was killed in one of these raids. So he was killed when I was 2 months old.
2 months old.
And I had two older siblings. My mother was now widowed, and she went back to her family because my dad's family took the remaining livestock that they had, all the property. You can't inherit property as a woman in Kenya. So she had to go back to her family.
Oh my gosh.
And then her family is like, well, you have 3 kids. You got to find yourself another husband. So she traveled 200 miles south where she could get a job in a more agrarian community. So she worked in people's farms. She cleaned people's houses. She did the menial tasks that would give her any kind of income.
To raise his child.
Exactly.
And you went with her, or you?
Yeah.
Okay.
All the 3 of us went with her.
Wow. Okay.
So
you and your 2 brothers.
my brother and my sister.
Sister.
Yeah. So while she was working in these farms, she realized that none of the kids were at these houses. They were always somewhere else. They call this place school. And the older ones had jobs. So she, in her mind, she's like, maybe if I put my kids at this place called school, they'll probably get a job. And that's how she came up with this idea that, maybe I can give them an inheritance. But it's very improbable because you have to go through all these things. You have to pay for school. You have to send the kid away most of the day because in the tribe, the kids were there to help you, look after the goats, look after things at the house. But this was a different concept. My mother was not educated, but she was very smart. So she figured out, well, I'll just send these kids to school, see what they can do there. And that's how we were put into school.
So the doors.
Yeah. So that was the first door.
The doors started to open for you.
Exactly.
Yes. It's both a very, very poignant story, very hard to hear, but it's also beautiful because your mom was doing everything to raise you, and she was the warrior. just like mine. Yeah, mine was illiterate, and she did the same thing. You were raised in one of the most underserved regions. People don't understand what that is. I want you just told us the story, but I want to know what is that? I mean, that region, what was going on there? You mentioned the raids and all that. Was it war-torn already then?
I think it's just, most of it is lack of resources, right? People come in to attack you because they don't have
They
resources.
come in to attack you.
They see what you have. They're like, well, maybe I'll get some of that. So I think, lack of resources. Kenya is, compared to our neighbors, our neighborhood is not very peaceful. I mean, when I was growing up in the 80s, Uganda was going through its war with Idi Amin, and Museveni came in and did what he did. Sudan was at war. Ethiopia wasn't any better. Somalia was war torn. So everyone around us was just in dire straits. But we were okay. We were that beacon of peace. But we still have no resources. So we were better than other people, but we almost had nothing.
So from that nothing, there's so many questions I can ask, and I'm sure, Ken, you have so many too. But listening to Dr. Lokale right now, I can't help myself but say, okay, well, I want to know from there what happened then. So your mom raised you, and you had the opportunity to go to school. Then what happened? So how those doors continue to be
absolutely
open.
It is the most improbable story.
So that's what we want to hear.
Exactly. So in that 8-year span, we got to like 5th grade, and we had, by happenstance, this guy, he became the headmaster of my primary school. Here, you can open enroll to any school. There, you get the village school. If it's a good school, you're set. If it's not, you're done, right? So for my first 5 years, you just go through the motions. And then my 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, this headmaster came in, and his whole thing is, we are going to be the best school in the district.
Nice.
And that meant that we had to change the way we learned. We had to change what time we came to school. We had to change the whole attitude. He recruited the best teachers in the district to make sure that the kids had the best resources. So in Kenya, after 8th grade, so 8th grade, and then at the end of high school, you take one exam. There's no continuous assessment. You get tests so that you can be promoted to the next class. But really, at the end of it, it's that 8th grade exam and that 4th year exam as a senior that determine whether you move to the next level from primary, secondary, tertiary education, whatever it is, right? In 8th grade, there's a test that takes 3 days. And
3 days?
3 days.
How many hours per day is the test?
So it's from like 8 to 4 o'clock. Different papers. You get English, you get math.
That's to graduate to what?
To secondary school.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get this 3-day exam, and during my year, maybe 500,000 kids took the test. Now, you pass the test, you go to a high school. It's usually a boarding school, segregated per sex, that kind of thing. Now, most high schools, you have to pay an equivalent like $200 a year because, they have to feed you, they have to house you, the whole thing. If you don't have that money, you probably won't go to high school.
Even if you pass the test?
Even if you pass the test.
Wow.
Now, my problem was the opposite. I could pass the test, but my mother didn't have the money to send me to a good high school. So guess what? Another door opens. There's a guy. He was part of the King's African Rifles, born in Kenya in 1933, and so he was a Kenyan citizen but British by birth. He was serving the Queen, and he was in charge of incarcerating freedom fighters during independence. After a couple of years, he started having disillusionment about this whole what he was doing in his life. And he's like, I'm incarcerating all these men. Their kids are on the street. They have no prospects at all. They're not going to school. They're not becoming anything. He left that post and started a school that would take care of these destitute children.
Wow. Holy cow.
Yes. So
Talking about door opening.
Yeah.
So in 1959, he starts the school, and he goes to the streets and pretty much brings the kids. And now it developed so much over time that you had to apply, and you had to be in the top 210 boys in the country to get a free scholarship.
Wow.
So out of those 500,000 kids, I was in the top 210,
Wow.
and I made it to high school. And
Wow.
that's how I paid for high school. So
it's like the upper 1%, 2%.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So every kid, all the kids who start primary school in Kenya, 0.1% of them make it to the university. That's how low. We had very few institutions. So you had to be very competitive. So that was another door that opened for me. In high school, though, as a sophomore, I discovered that I could run. I should have known because my cousin is an Olympic champion, 1988. He
Marathon,
actually,
right?
no, 800 meters.
Oh,
He actually held the world record for 8 years indoors.
Gold medalist? Wow.
impressive.
So, but he was living here. I was there. There was, and then one day I went to visit him. He's like, "So you ran in high school? You were the national championship for secondary schools?" I said, "Oh yeah, I was." It's like, let's see whether we can find you a scholarship, just the way he got a scholarship in
Right.
1987. So that's how I got a scholarship to come to the Virginia Military Institute on a running scholarship.
Wow.
So that was the other opportunity that kind of opened for me. And while I was at the Virginia Military Institute,
Did that mean you had to be in the military?
I did not know. It's a state-supported school. So it's not
Okay.
like West Point or Annapolis or
Okay.
one of those federally funded ones.
Interesting.
So because I was on a track scholarship, I just kind of, I was able to just run and then go to grad school after. So the president of my college happened to be a 1963 Rhodes Scholar. And as a sophomore, he called me to his office and said, "Hey, Mike, so you should really think about applying for the Rhodes Scholarship. You have the academic credentials. You're already a captain of the cross-country team. You're a leader of cadets on the Hill. You have all the things that Cecil Rhodes was looking for when he had that inception of those scholarships." I was like, "Yes, sir, I will apply." But I still have 2 years, right? So I did nothing until when I was a senior. He reminded me again,
The door's
door is
opening.
open. All you need
Are
to
you going
do
through
is
it or
go
not?
through it. Yes, your mother.
Yeah,
At this point,
exactly.
how is she thinking? What is she thinking?
So, I didn't tell you. So when I was 19, she passed away
Oh.
before I came to the States. Yeah. So, but I'm sure she's looking down,
Sure she
being
is.
very proud
Yeah.
of what happened.
No,
Yeah.
your journey is not only amazing, but we learn so much. With stories like such as yourself.
As you were growing up, who would you say were the people along the way that inspired you, that encouraged you?
There's a multitude of people that but the ones that really stand out. My mother, of course. You don't have to be
Your hero.
educated. Yeah, you don't have to be educated to have that insight and the vision, and the ambition to do things.
Well, it sounds like she's pretty wise too.
She's very wise. Yeah. So my mother, and then my cousin Paul Lorang, he's the one who's like opened a lot of doors for
The
people.
Olympian.
Yeah, the Olympian.
Okay.
People in my tribe. He was the first Olympian from the tribe. He was an unknown freshman at the University of Virginia, who out of nowhere beats the reigning Olympic champion.
That's amazing.
Joaquin Cruz. So it's just one of those things that, and then of course, Dr. Griffin, the principal of my high school, who really opened doors for me. Because if he didn't have that insight that, we're incarcerating people here, but really, let's look at the future. Let's look at what their children are going to become. Let's take care of the future here. And I mean, he knows that my oldest son's name is Griffin. I named my kid
That's
after
cool.
Dr. Griffin.
Yeah.
So, Doctor, I have a specific question about something you said that was very powerful. Your mom, not being educated, still found the way to open all those doors for you when the door was closed to her. And how did she open that door, without education? What would you think? What do you think happened in her heart and mind to give her the drive? Was it the love for you guys? What was it?
I think it's the love for us, and also
There's something else, right?
since all the material things were stripped away from her, she had to think. She had to listen. She had to listen to new ways to look at this same problem that we had. How do you get out of poverty? How do you get out of your current problem?
She asked the right questions.
Yes, and listen to people.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I think, one of the most important thing that we need to know about the way we think is either we think negative and we dig our hole deeper, or we ask the right questions, because the parts of the brain that are willing to push you forward are those that you prompt the questions. Instead of saying, feeling sorry for yourself, you say, what's next? How can I get out of this? How can I get out of my hole? What is there, for me that would help me, get out of this predicament? So ask the right questions, because otherwise your brain does what you tell it to do. So if you feel sorry for yourself, it'll continue feeling sorry for yourself. But if you ask the right question, you are prone to find solutions. Yeah, absolutely. That's profound.
I'm thinking about your mom. She's wise, because I can tell she's a very wise person. And then obviously I think she passed that wisdom to you. So we have a lot of young people that watch and listen to this. So what wisdom would you want to pass along to them if they wanted to do something special with their lives?
I think, not giving up it's cliche, but always looking for that next opportunity. And when you get that opportunity, cling to it like your life depends on it, because that opportunity will give you the next opportunity. And that's really all we can ask for. You can give people the world, but they have to decide what to do with that opportunity. So cling to it, make the best of it.
Let's put it in the context of the door opening. Okay. Now you have these doors open and you see clear. You see opportunities. You can see them. Was it the case for you? Because for me, I always saw something else. That's the only way I could get to the top, by knowing where I was going. So were you seeing where you were going?
So I knew I wanted to be a doctor.
Knew you were.
I knew I wanted to be a doctor.
From what age? How old were you?
Maybe 13, 14.
Oh.
I actually wrote about it in that test, the 8th grade test. The question was, what do you think is the most important job to have? And I talked about being a doctor.
How old were you?
I was maybe 13 or 14. Yeah.
You knew?
So I knew, but I didn't know how to get from A to B. And it was these things that fell in place, these opportunities that I looked for, these doors that opened, that really got me from A to B.
Knowing the why will bring the how. When you start thinking about the how without knowing the why, you get discouraged. Too much to do. So for me, I was about the same age when I was actually expelled from school, not expelled, but kicked out for a couple of days, because I drew the American flag and a muscle man. I knew what I wanted to, not only where I wanted to be, but what I wanted to be, So whether it's a doctor, a champion, whatever you want in your life, is knowing why you want it and what is it that you want. From there, opportunity starts. Not because they come, miraculously. It's because the part of your brain that is responsible for making you move forward is also the one that sees clearly where you're going. So in other words, you are subconsciously doing the things that need to be done, and you're meeting the right people. You put yourself in the right places because you know where you're going. And the opposite is true too. If you don't know where you're going, and that door has remained closed, guess what? You can't see anything. You stay where you are. Hence, you dig that hole, and deeper and deeper and deeper, and you don't know where you're going. So knowing why and what will bring you the how. This is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, because this is exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened to a lot of our guests that we had previously on the show. Yeah.
Was there a doctor in your life when you were young
No.
that inspired you?
Not at all.
No,
No.
it just hit you.
Yeah. So and the people who were actually practicing the medicine were more clinical officers, which would be an equivalent of the PAs here, because we were such a remote area. Doctors don't want to live there.
Right.
So they were more in the cities. So we
Wow.
would go, 12 miles to. I would walk 12 miles to get my vaccinations.
I would
gosh.
I
You
would
know?
walk 12 miles. I would walk 12 miles like every day. You do what, 7
You guys don't
to
do that?
20 miles?
No. 12
talking about that,
12 feet.
in your profession, it's a high stress profession. Many doctors get to a burnout. So how do you keep from getting there? I know that you have your own self-care routine. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? What would you say to doctors that are, either getting to that threshold or are in that burnout?
Yeah. So I think, what I would say is, find a hobby that takes you out of that, that rat
Mindset.
race.
Yeah, huh.
For me, it's running. So, these days I get up at 3 in
Clears
the
your
morning
mind.
or 2 in the morning just so
Yeah.
I can run my 25 miles if it's a long run.
I think I'm still in REM sleep.
yeah, that's fine. So
I'm up at that time.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, you are. You're texting everybody at 3.
So, I have my running routine down. And then I think the other thing is I spend time with my kids. I spend time with my wife. That is very important. That is, once I'm home, I'm home.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to detach.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I can put things in silos, in compartments,
Yeah.
so that things don't spill into. I mean, there's situations where you're still kind of like, oh, I'm still thinking about that patient.
Yeah,
But
so
that's very rare.
So what you're merely talking about is being engaged but detached from the outcome.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, if somebody pages me, I'll pick up the
Yeah.
phone.
So
call them.
but
finish that. and
You're
that's
still
it.
engaged, but you're detached because you're able to switch from that call to back to your family. So it's another thing, that you want other doctors to understand is that put your mind elsewhere. And whether it's your family, running, going to the gym like Ken and I, it's important that you switch, you have the ability to switch, okay? But one of the things that hinders from doing that is fear, okay? People are afraid, and there are many, many, many fears that can go through one's mind, whether it's I have to be there for this patient because she or he is going through this, but you have to be able to detach from that, okay? Or we have too many bills, or whatever the case may be. So that is also something that hold people down and keep them into that mode of attachment mode. So remove that attachment and engage. Would you say?
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think, you have to take care of yourself so that you can take care of other people. There's no way, I couldn't tell my patients, hey, you need to lose weight.
No.
And I don't practice what I preach. I have a big jug of water. I'm sure you've seen it. Tell people, hey, you need to drink, half your body weight in ounces.
Oh, wow.
I do the same.
Yeah.
So do as I say,
Yeah. Well,
or as I do, really.
One of the most fascinating things, that happens with you, and I've seen other people, but with you is there is no element of fear when patients come to see you. You have the ability to put them at ease, and you remind me of my father's doctor. My father's doctor used to go to the house, when they visited.
House calls are
and
nice, yeah.
he would sit down. He wouldn't even do it because my father would complain. Oh yeah, no, my mom would call, and as soon as the doctor showed up, my father's talking to him, drinking coffee, blah blah blah, for half hour, and then he says, "Okay, Mr. Zuareg, let me check your blood pressure. You're fine, okay." And my mom would go, "Yeah, right. An hour ago, you were feeling and now." So, because Dr. Chenal, which is the doctor back then, he was our doctor for the whole family, He had the ability to sit down and say jokes, talk, and completely drop that fear. Okay, because I'm convinced that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the patient has a great deal to do with their own healing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, I get 15 minutes with you. You get the rest of time,
and one of the things is fascinating to me is that if a patient does not tell you exactly how they feel, it's hard to diagnose anything, right? So that hence the practice of medicine. It's a practice.
Yeah.
But if you do that practice with your kind of using your kind of energy, the ability to put people at ease, it's so much better for a patient.
And that's why I tell my patients, in everything that we do, you are the boss.
Yes.
You decide when to wake up. You decide what kind of exercise you do. You decide what food you are the boss. I give you advice. I give you recommendations. But at the end of the day, and that's very empowering for people. They're like, I can do this. I can do that.
One of your patients said this to me. He says, every time I go to see Dr. Lokale, my blood pressure when his assistant takes it is to the roof. And then he comes in, 2 minutes later, he takes it, it's normal. That's what you do. Your energy. I've seen doctors freaking out the patients.
Oh, sure, yeah. What do they call that when the patient's
white coat
White coat
syndrome? Yeah.
White coat, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
You're the opposite. You have peace to you. I hate to say this, but we're going to have to wrap it up.
Okay.
We're going to have you here again because there's just way too much to talk about with you.
Happy to.
But we do want to thank all of our viewers, listeners. We can't even tell you how much we appreciate you listening to us, watching to us. So please, if you liked this episode, please share it, like it, subscribe, and we can't wait for you to comment.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But thank you for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it.